Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'm looking at Graffiti's Wall by Ram V and Anand RK. I picked this up used from Second and Charles. I just grabbed it because I recognized Ram V's name as someone who's been popular in the last year or two, a writer that seems like they're getting a lot of heat, so I wanted to check out their work. And then when I flipped through it, the artwork by Anand RK and the coloring just really caught my eye, and I thought this looks great. There's just all kinds of artists that the art reminds me of, from Eduardo Hizzo to even John Paul Leon a little bit. There's one other guy whose name I'm blanking on. He did the book about the Indian reservations with Jason Aaron and the Goddamned. I blanking on his name right now, but I don't know, a mix of a lot of really cool styles. And then the story is really good. I see why Ram V is a popular writer. I'm sad that I'm mostly associating him with stuff at DC. So I hope when I go looking that there's more creator-owned work, because this is a really, really well-written book. And I wish that this was like more of an ongoing series. I kind of fell in love with the characters and was sad I only got to spend such a little amount of time with them. I feel like this is a really good drama that could have just kind of grown out in a really interesting way if it was a series that carried on for years. But it does have an ending, and it makes sense why it ends, where it ends, and everything. So the structure of the story is pretty cool. It's all set in Mumbai. And it's part of what I love about the art is there's just this real intense sense of place. I've never been there, but I imagine that these are people who live there and know this like the back of their own hands, and it just has that feeling of just, place all throughout the book, and the claustrophobic, dense, cluttered, hot, melting pot of a city just really comes through. The structure of the story is really cool in that even though it's called Graffiti's Wall, and you kind of get this red herring that it's going to be all about this character, Suresh, I believe is the kid's name, but goes by a street name Graffiti because he likes to spray paint and is a really great artist. So you get a sense that he's the main character, and you get introduced to a couple friends in his group, and then what happens is that with each successive issue, like other people, like this character Jay becomes like the main character of the next issue, and then one of their friends becomes the main character of the third issue, and then a fourth character get introduced that issue that becomes the focus of the last issue of the 4-issue miniseries. So I thought that was structurally really cool, and that at the end of this issue, Graffiti creates a wall, and that wall becomes like the thing that holds them together. Thus the title of the book. So really like that. Just love the coloring throughout, like this flat coloring with minimal gradients. Here's some more of these images that just give a real sense of place. And here, these kind of shanty towns that have been put up are getting taken down. And I love this transition here where it's like all crumbling, and parts of the crumbling building just turn into like debris or letters falling, and then you see graffiti here with the stuff falling in the window. I just think that shows what a powerful artist Anand RK is. I mean, all of this, you should be able to tell what a powerful artist they are. Then the second issue focuses on Jay, and Jay's definitely like a hoodlum on the streets that's delivering drugs for a guy. He springs Graffiti out with Mario, the main drug dealer's money, and you kind of see, but he also wants to be a rapper. He has dreams to be a rapper. And in this issue, I think it's my favorite scene in the book, where his mother or grandmother sends him to a job interview at a car wash. Says, "Hey, I know someone, like let me get you a job." And he's like, "Okay," but really he's got to go to this drug deal, and then he wants to get to this rap show. But he goes and does the interview anyways, and the guy's like, "Okay, well, I'll give you a shot, kid." And he says, "I'll give you 500 to start tomorrow, and then you'll work a 2,000 rupee salary. If you do well in the first month, I'll raise it by 500 more, okay?" And then Jay says, "No, I'm not interested in that." And this businessman's like, "What? Why?" It's because I make more in a day right now than you'd make than you're offering me for a month, and because I have dreams and they're not for sale. And that really just highlighted the situation of people for me that are like living in a poor situation where it's like, well, just go get a job, lift yourself up. And it's like, nah, fuck that. I make way more money dealing drugs in a day than you can pay me in a month. Like, why am I going to do that? And I get it. Like, when you're presented with that choice, and that's the reality around you, why would you do that? But also shows, like you do the car dealership job because it's not risky, and when the drug deal goes bad and the cops take the money and you can't pay, then you're going to get the shit kicked out of you. And so the reality of that situation, I think that was probably my favorite issue of the four. I really like this character in issue 3 the most. I'm going to blank on his name, but he's moved to Mumbai to chase some kind of dream. And what I really like about this character is that he obsessively write. Oh, his name is Chasma. Chasma writes these letters and just loves writing letters in the same way that graffiti loves tagging on walls, loves painting. But the letters aren't for anyone in particular. He'll just kind of give them to random people, and he goes through like the different reactions that people have. Some people just like throw them away. Some people read them and are tickled. Some people read them out loud and make fun of them. Other people get angry. And I think that's really cool. There was a point in my life where I like to do little gestures like that just because I was like a bored kid. And Fight Club was like important, and I wanted to do stuff like that was non-destructive. And so me and my friends would kind of do things along these lines. I remember one time we just took like $10 and we just picked a random house and tried to give out $10. Like, here you go, here's $10, thanks. And I encountered this where the people got really mad at me. It's like, what do you want? What are you doing? What are you trying to get from me? Like they were scared and angry, and they wouldn't take the money, and they told me to go give it to homeless people. And it was like, well, that's not really the point. So it's that just brought back good memories of that. And like, I know that I was doing it from like this bored, but also like wanting to make connections with people, kind of well-intentioned place. And Ram V really writes that into that character, that he's just like really well-intentioned, wanting to connect with people. And I really like that. And then he meets and falls in love kind of with the girl, Sarah, I think is how you pronounce the name. It's spelled a little different, but that looks like how you pronounce it. And that kind of gets them into some trouble. I won't go into spoiling the ending, because there is a good ending. But I got so involved with each one of these 4 characters and kind of how their lives weave and grow. I could see this going on forever, kind of like the Gilbert Hernandez stuff where it just keeps growing. And I'm really sad that it doesn't, because this is the kind of thing I want out of comics, and then like extended, like a really good TV show, like just pure human drama, nothing, no crazy sci-fi premise or anything like that. But I'd like to see it play out over longer. So I don't know, like the Ram V seemed to have a pretty clear, beginning, middle, and end for this. But I don't know. I just wish they could go back to it and expand upon it. But there's an epilogue to it. I kind of wish this hadn't been in here. It doesn't even look like the same artist, really. And I don't know. It just wrapped up something that I liked, the more open-ended ending to. I do really like this little bit here where many years later, some developers are coming in and they're like, "Oh, we better tear down this wall with the graffiti all over it." And they decide, no. It's like, this is art, man. And so they turn it into like a piece of art that they build their hotel around. And that seems like a very sad and accurate depiction of how that kind of thing goes, how artists always kind of get screwed out of that. Some sketches and art from Anand RK in the back. You can see like the beautiful ink work in there. I found this to be really interesting. It's a real big, like really elaborate breakdown of lettering. And so I think for anyone who's interested in both hand lettering and digital lettering, and also the different types of things that me and Sean have talked about a little bit before, like leading and how ascenders and descenders, like if you're writing with lowercase and uppercase, you have to be more careful. Whereas if things is if things are all uppercase, it makes that easier to keep it all in a straight line. So the letter Aditya Bidikar really goes through all of that and talks about other kind of famous letters that they studied. So people who are really into lettering, I think this is the first time I've seen this kind of breakdown of lettering in the like how this book was made part of the book. And I think this is something that people could really use as a starting point to then go look over other names that are mentioned here: John Costanza, Gaspar Saladino, Darwin Cook, and just get familiar with the terminology and what to look for. Because lettering is something I'm still learning, even how to look at. Like working with Dave Sim taught me how to look at lettering. So that was a really cool inclusion in the back of the book. And then some really nice like sketchbooks and paintings in the back. I looked up Anand RK on Instagram to see what else they've done. And man, just a really great artist with a real range of styles, and definitely a couple other books with Ram V that I'm going to have to hunt down. So I really, really enjoyed this book. It came out in early 2020, it looks like. So I'm sure there's still copies out there, and I would highly recommend it. And then, I don't know, like petition for this series to continue. Keep it going for years and years and years as these characters grow up. One of the best ways that you can support what we're doing here on the channel is to support the books that Sean's putting out through Living the Line. The first book that he put out is The Strange Death of Alex Raymond. It's a collaboration between Dave Sim and myself. The book was recently nominated for an Eisner Award in the Best Reality-Based category. It's a deep, deep dive into the artwork and methods of Alex Raymond and the mystery surrounding his death in a car crash. So if you haven't grabbed that already, please do. There's also Yokoyama Yuichi's Plaza, which is a totally intense manga by an artist who has somehow figured out how to distill manga down to its purest essence. This book was successfully funded on Kickstarter, but if you missed the Kickstarter, you can order it through any comic store, any bookstore, Amazon, any place that you would normally get your graphic novels from. The Abolition of Man is a 5-issue mini-series done by myself and Sean in collaboration with the Midjourney AI. What you're seeing here is the cover to issue 1 and the first couple pages of issue 1. This first issue, we fed it an essay by C.S. Lewis, and this is just the imagery that the computer spat back at us. Issues 2 and 3 are a narrative, starting with the story that I wrote when I was 21, and then Sean's going to write issue 3, picking up where I left off. In this one, I'm kind of trying to force the AI to give me the images I want, and then doing some tweaking in Photoshop to get these kind of colored looks on it. For issue 4, we're turning the task of writing over to the AI as well. So the AI has written the script, and then we've just put that into the Midjourney AI, and it's turned out art. The script and the art is some of the absolutely most horrific stuff I've ever seen. We're a bit scared to even publish this issue. And I don't have any art to show for it yet, but Sean and I have decided to do a 5th issue of Abolition as well, because we have someone who we're really, really excited to have on board, providing an essay for that 5th issue that we'll illustrate, and we'll announce more about that soon. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.